What's up, guys? Super excited for what I'm about to share with you today. Uh, but first, a question for you. Are you getting your bread? You getting paid? As my good friend Jonathan Laudermilk always says, you get what you're worth in his Virginia accent. But anyways, in all seriousness, this is what this video is going to be about. As you can tell from the title, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how we made over 300K from memes. You heard that right, folks. Now, why this matters is because prior to using this untapped framework, I was struggling. I was in an apartment in Medellin with living with two roommates who didn't inspire me. Sorry, guys. Uh, and honestly, it was a grind. I was working my ass off like 6 days a week, just pushing it pedal to the metal, working 12, 14-hour days, trying to get this offer off the ground to build this dream business that I initially envisioned when I started. And it wasn't until I started using that after I started using it, within 6 months, I was able to take my girlfriend at the time to Dubai, to her dream vacation, and build that seven-figure business and have that financial freedom that I always wanted. So let's break down the actual mechanism of how this worked. So stay tuned, guys. If you guys are wearing socks, they're about to get rocked. If you're not wearing socks, put them on because they're going to get rocked. Now, this also matters because of this. Now, as the threat of new entrants in a market becomes realized, which is exactly what we're seeing in this online market, it means that the bargaining power of buyers increases and the selling power of suppliers decreases. What does that mean? Well, imagine you go to a supermarket and there's only 5 apples, but there's 10 people that want those apples. Well, it means that the price of those apples is going to increase because there's only the demand of those apples, because there's increased demand of the supply of those apples. The inverse is also true. As supply increases in the marketplace, as all these new people are jumping into the market, starting agencies, the selling power of suppliers and the existing players in the market is going to decrease. And that leads to less market share overall. So we need to continue to find new untapped ways for us to increase our selling power as suppliers. And the only way that we can do that is with new technology and new systems that increase our unit of output per unit of cost. What does that mean? It means that how do we use tools and strategies to say, for example, if I'm putting in $1, that I'm getting out 10. It's like, say, for example, if we're buying one apple for $1, what can we do to sell that apple for $10? Do we need to create an apple pie? What's the thing that we need to build? Do we need to create a fancy 5-star apple tart dessert cake to get to stretch more out of that apple? Because if we just have the apple and then we're reselling the apple, then our selling power is going to be limited because there's a million other suppliers of apples. So how do we differentiate ourselves to stop being treated like that commodity of just selling apples? So, because what will happen is eventually, as more players enter the market selling apples, I'm selling the apple for $2. What's stopping the next person from stopping that apple from $1.30? The answer is that there's nothing. But because it's the same commodity, the buyers of those apples are going to treat it like a commodity, as opposed to the apple tart that we spend a lot more time, effort, work cultivating. So this strategy that I'm about to share with you guys, how we use memes, is exactly like this, where we were giving content. Excuse me. The first thing that we had solved was we solved our offer. So we figured out exactly what the market wanted and how did they want it to hear it, which is defined by our positioning. So everybody at the time wanted listing appointments. And so we had figured out a way to ask for both cash up front for a setup and then also getting paid on performance per qualified lead that we were sending the real estate agent. Now, this also matters when it comes to content. So bear with me here, guys, while I pull up this other Lucid chart. But in the meantime, is once the offer is figured out and we figure out exactly how to position it, the next question is how do we create content, organic or paid creatives that resonates with the market? Now, this matters because of the memes. It always comes back to the memes. And with these memes is we created content that was exactly what the market wanted. And this is how we retain their attention, we retain their eyeballs. Is because we were continuing to give them, it's like, say, for example, if somebody wants to buy an orange, but I'm an apple vendor, there's no amount of salesmanship that's going to be able to convince that person to buy an apple. They want an orange. And this was the kind of content that the market wanted, is they wanted markets. They wanted memes, excuse me. They wanted edgy humor that was specific to their niche. And by continuing to give them that is how we were able to continue for them to come back and continue buying us apples, is because we were giving them the apples or oranges, whatever. You get what I'm saying? So we'd have this social media post. Now we would also funnel them to a Discord community. Now, thankfully, we had an incredible partner that was taking point on this, who actually managed and owned the meme page. And from there, receive a welcome email to the community. And then this partner would continue to nurture these folks, bring them to roundtable events to continue to build more and more goodwill and reciprocity. Say, for example, every time that somebody gives us something, have you ever noticed that you feel almost obligated to give something back to them? It's the same principle in our marketing of creating that law of reciprocity and goodwill. But it's not just about the point of creating content or memes for the sake of creating memes and content. It's the content needs to be good enough to be worth the time of the people that's looking at it. So if, say, for example, if somebody gives me a free straw, but I don't have a drink, I can't, how am I supposed to use that straw? It's like, it's not applicable for the situation. So it's how do we give something that the market wants in our content, that is something that they are going to gain value from. And we continue doing this. We continue nurturing them with content and roundtable events. And then this is where we'd actually start the sales process. Is we would market organic posts or organic posts through the listing program. And then this is where their customer journey throughout the sales process would start. But it's critical to say, okay, here are the principles of how we actually create content that people care about. Now, if you guys want a tool for dark mode on your laptop as well, this is a tool that I'm using, dark mode night eye. Does not like Lucid chart apparently taking a little time to process it with the Zoom going on. So if you're not starting at memes, the alternative is to build this content around pain points. So if we don't know if we don't know them, create a hypothesis, then use YouTube to find the most searched topics in the niche, find an influencer, and look at what content is getting the most engagement from them. Think of the value that we're giving for their time and attention. That's the intent of while we're creating content, is how do we create content that's actually worth How do I create content that's actually worth your time? And focusing on novelty and speed and adding proof. Now, proof doesn't necessarily need to be a case study that we produce, but it could be an outside example. Now, if you spend months or years trying to figure this out, then use it. I mean, for example, this meme page took 4 years to build. So, and to build it to a point where we had a Discord community of 6,000 people of our target market. And then the call to action. What's the call to action at the end of the piece of content? So really, I can't minimize this Zoom. But anyways, all good. So what does this mean for you guys? Well, if you want me to design this process for your specific business and never have an empty calendar again, and so that you never have to deal with churn again either because of this framework and how efficient it is, like people that are using direct response marketing, we're actually leaving in 70 to 90% of the money on the table as far as how efficient we are. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, it goes back to my Apple example. Most marketers are just buying an apple and then reselling it for $2 to $3. They don't actually, their business is missing the key mechanisms to be able to sell that apple for $7 to $10. And that's exactly what I'm going to be breaking down for you guys. So as part of this, this is the same model that Hermosa used to build Gym Launch. So it's not just working, it's not just work for us, but it's worked in multiple segments. And so I'm going to be giving you guys my 100K per month appointment setting infrastructure that lets you achieve 50% qualified lead rates. That way you know exactly where your next client is coming from. I'll give you my leverage sales process where we source the closures completely done for you. Now I've partnered with one of the biggest players in the online game to be able to do this for you guys. And because now is the best time. Like the December is actually the last time that I'm going to be offering this structure and offer the way that it is. Now, part of that is I'm actually removing my habit tracking and habit optimization frameworks from the program. Now, this is the exact framework that I used, that I spent 18 months and over 30K of learning to transition from a salesperson to an executive. So by taking action today, you have the ability to skip that entirely. So why this matters as far as the sorcery, I mean, it might as well be. Imagine not having to run LinkedIn ads and Indeed ads and spending dozens of interviews with people that are not worth your time just to find that one superstar. The best part is I'm also going to be adding the exact testing methodology that I used to find A+ in sales. So that being said, I have somebody at the door here. So book a call with me in the link below to build out your 6 month to 100K per month roadmap. Catch you later.